Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight and the Mets win it.
This is a play that we've all seen before, probably dozens of times. The Vince Scully call, the unbelievable comeback, and the all-time blunder. It's iconic. The history of the sport could not be told without this play. But what if I were to tell you that this wasn't even the most important play of the at-bat? Win expectancy estimates the odds a team has of winning a game based on the situation, and it changes after every play. When Mookie Wilson stepped up to the plate, the Red Sox had an 81% chance of winning Game 6 and thus winning the World Series. That's a far cry from the 99% they were at just 3 batters prior. Wilson followed 3 straight 2-out base hits that brought the Mets within a run and put the tying and winning runs on the corners. The upper bowl of Shea Stadium shook in anticipation. After 6 pitches of battling, the count was 2-2, and the Red Sox were just 1 strike away from immortality for the 2nd consecutive at-bat. Bob Stanley's 7th pitch was the result of a supernatural power. It was the physical embodiment of Babe Ruth's spirit. It was the curse of the Bambino. It's time we meet our protagonist. Kevin Mitchell was just a rookie when he scored the tying run in Game 6. The Red Sox chances of winning dropped from 81% all the way down to 40% when Mitchell crossed home plate. But even this play was not without its controversy. The story goes that Mitchell changed into his street clothes after Keith Hernandez made the 2nd out of the inning. When Gary Carter lined a base hit into left, Mitchell was called upon to pinch hit, so he scrambled to get his uniform back on, getting a base hit of his own and later scoring the game-tying run without his protective cup. This theory is easily disprovable, as Vince Scully mentions Mitchell in the on-deck circle as Carter comes up to bat.
Kevin Mitchell is on deck to bat for Rick Aguilera and Gary Carter at the plate.
But as we get to know Mitchell, you'll understand why this theory was actually plausible to some, as well as why the media tried to discredit Mitchell's role in the most important inning in Mets history. And as for this instance, I'll have to let Mitchell answer for himself. This is far from the only insane, made-up story about Mitchell's career, and it may be the most tame. Fair warning, some of these fictional stories are extremely graphic and violent, and I'm going to talk about every single one that I could find. I'll also make sure to talk about the things that actually did happen, some of which are even more unbelievable, like the time he threw his pedophile teammate through a ping pong table, but we're not going to get there for a while. We're still in 1986. After his timely Game 6 hit, Mitchell got the start in Game 7, contributing an outfield assist before being replaced by an even crazier person with many more legal and off-the-field issues. But that was just another day for the world champion 1986 Mets. What you're hearing now is one of many imitations of the Super Bowl Shuffle. This one is special, not only because it's the worst, but because they recorded the track after just one single game. Yeah, they beat the Pirates on opening day, and George Foster had half the team in the booth less than 24 hours later.
The Mets are better than the rent machine. I live to play, and that's my thing. This year we're gonna win the series ring.
It sounds completely absurd, until you remember they won the 9th most games in MLB history and went on to win the World Series. That was just the kind of team that they were. They knew they were going to beat you, they told you that they were going to beat you, they beat you, then they did enough coke to kill a grizzly bear before waking up and doing it all again. And even as a rookie, Mitchell was a perfect fit.
I'm Kevin Mitchell, seasoned rook, studying all the moves. I'm ready to cook, I got it together, I'm ready to play. I'm up in the bigs and I'm hoping to stay.
To understand how Mitchell developed his reputation and attitude, we first have to understand the unlikelihood of him making it to the bigs. He was raised by his mother and grandmother in Logan Heights, a tough neighborhood in San Diego. As Kevin grew up, some of his tight-knit friend group joined up with the local Skyline Pyrus. He credits his granny for getting him interested in sports, primarily football, and keeping him off the streets. His father walked out of his life when he was just 2, and with his mother working multiple jobs, he often spent his free time in his granny's house. She's the main reason he never joined a gang himself. Even then, trouble always seemed to find him, as he was shot by at least one stray bullet as a teen, thankfully avoiding serious injury. Although he got into his share of fights growing up, Many of his childhood friends cite him as someone more interested in resolving conflict rather than instigating it, but he could never escape the reputation that he carried just from growing up where he did, and he never really made an effort to do so. Although he apparently never played high school baseball, he was noticed by a Mets scout while at a community college tryout and offered a minor league contract on the spot. That's how prolific his talent was, and paired with his running back body, he was shockingly impressive. Of course, he didn't accept the deal until Granny convinced him to sign. He worked his way through the minors quickly, despite no known organized baseball experience prior to signing. His versatility, power, size, and speed allowed him to work his way to the majors as a September call-up in just his 4th season. He had a 7-game cup of coffee with the Mets in 1984, and he got there with so little help that it only makes sense why he didn't conform to standards set by major league front offices. Nobody knew what was best for Kevin besides himself and Granny. It seems impossible that he made it all the way to the show in 1984, but his personal struggles that season make the feat all the more unbelievable. His stepbrother Donald was killed in the gang shooting at just 16 years old. Even as he made his big league debut, it was the only thing he could think about, and he was seeing red, plotting to avenge Donald as soon as the season was over.
Let somebody touch my mama, touch my sister, touch my woman, touch my daddy, touch my niece, touch my nephew, touch my brother.
He says his grandmother talked him to leaving town for a while to avoid any more trouble. The vengeance that he desired wasn't worth more bloodshed, and he thankfully didn't seek it. Had he made the rash decision to try and avenge his brother, he likely never would have made it to his next spring training. His rational thinking in 1984 gave him the opportunity to make the big league roster for good in 1986. Gary Carter gave Mitchell the nickname World because of his versatility. He played first base, third base, shortstop, and all 3 outfield spots during '86, finishing with pretty good stats despite inconsistent at-bats. He was also popular within the clubhouse. He became close with Carter, Darryl Strawberry, and Doc Gooden, with his granny even inviting them to her house for dinner when the team visited San Diego. Foster invited him onto the song with just 7 big league games under his belt. He was one of the youngest members in the clubhouse, but was trusted as team barber just a few weeks into the season. His mother was a hairdresser, and he says he learned how to cut hair by watching her. Although many teammates frequented his makeshift barbershop, Ray Knight, the man who went on to score right after him in Game 6, never let Mitchell anywhere near his hair. In the clubhouse, right across from the barbershop, the team had tables set up for games such as dominoes, casino, hearts, and computer mini golf.
I mean, we knew we was gonna win. Won our division. I mean, everybody in that lineup on that team, from the manager to the coaches.
Well, I would describe the '86 team as a team that was very confident, very cocky, a bunch of bad boys. Other teams just thought, who do these guys think they are?
Beyond their childlike enjoyment of the game and pure dominance on the field, the Mets had a major partying problem, which caught up to them in the years following the magical '86 season. Veterans like Hernandez were already big-time cocaine users, and Gooden and Strawberry famously had their promising careers derailed because of coke addictions. When Gooden was in the twilight of his career, he wrote a book titled Heat, where he alleged that he once walked into Mitchell's house to find him and his girlfriend yelling at each other. He claimed that as the fight escalated, Mitchell took a 12-inch kitchen knife, scooped up his girlfriend's cat, and cut its head clean off. While Gooden later admitted that this book was heavily embellished, the cat decapitation story is one that has stuck with Mitchell's legacy to this day. It was further sparked in 2014 when Strawberry seemingly confirmed the story, even though Gooden made no mention of Strawberry being present when the incident occurred. Mitchell has vehemently denied these claims dozens of times, citing his love for animals and lack of a girlfriend in New York. Despite all these crazy rumors, Mitchell affirms that he's still friends with Doc and Darryl. He thought that he found the perfect home in New York, and his 3rd place finish in Rookie of the Year and contributions to the championship seemingly solidified him as part of the young core in Queens. But just 6 weeks after Game 7, media trucks showed up to his house in San Diego and let him know that he'd been traded. He says he never even got a phone call from the Mets. He claims he was traded because the team believed he was a bad influence on Doc and Darryl, even though he was just a rookie and probably did the least amount of drugs in the clubhouse. He was a scapegoat for a team with deep-rooted problems, and they did not leave the clubhouse when he did. The Mets were an incredibly young team, but their window to become a dynasty shut just 2 years later, thanks mostly to their off-the-field troubles. And Mitchell definitely would have helped the team as the years went on. So where was he off to next?